Today I will talk about data types in Python. So first of all, I would like to tell you that why understanding data type is important. So in Python, like most of the programming languages, data types are used to classify one particular type of data. And why this is important? Because the specific data type which you will use will determine what kind of values it can be assigned to. So what does it mean? Let's check. So if I say I equals to 5, so that means that I is of integer type because I am assigning a whole number 5 to I. So if I hover over the mouse, I can check that I is a variable of class integer. Okay. Now the second reason is that we need to understand data type because with the same operator, different data types behave differently. So how does it work? Let's see. So if I do 5 plus 6, because both are numbers, so it will get added to 11. But if I use the same number but in a different format, so I say this is, let's say, string. Okay, so if I do that, then it results into concatenation instead of addition. So that is how the same operator differs in output for different data types. Broadly, we have 4 categories of data types in Python. So first is numeric, then boolean, then sequential, and container. So numeric can be subdivided into 3 more divisions, which is integer, float, complex. Okay. Integer is basically represented by int class, like I showed you, and it contains positive or negative whole number. So what does it mean? So if I say I equals 5, then it should be of type integer because it's a whole number. So what is float? Float is basically the decimal number. So it should be fraction, not a whole number. Okay. So if I say I equals 5.2 or minus 5.2, then the type of I will be float. Okay. There is another type, complex, which is not much used in data science. So we can say C equals 2 plus 3j. So 2 is the real part and 3j is the complex part of this number. So if I do type C, this is a complex number. Okay. And we can also convert the type between integer to float, float to integer. Okay. So how do you do that? Integer of 2.9, if I use this function, it will take the integer component of 2.9, which is 2, and similarly for 5, it converts into 5.0. I will talk about another important aspect, which is called coercion. So coercion is basically data type conversion. So what it means, suppose I am adding one integer with a float, then it internally converts the data type of 1 to float and outputs 4.0, which is of type float. Okay. So suppose I am doing with integer and a complex number. So here 2j plus I is a complex number and 1 is integer. If I do that, it converts into a complex number. So this is called coercion. Sometimes the float number might behave a little bit weird. So let's see this comparison 2.1 plus 2.2 whether it equals 4.3. So if I do that, oh, it says false. So what is the problem? So to check it, let's do simple 2.1 plus 2.2. So what is the output? It is not 4.3. It is 4.3 followed by some zeros and then 1. So this is the problem with float point, okay? Because float numbers are stored in computer as binary fractions. So computer, understand only binary 0 and 1. So most of the decimal fractions we know cannot be accurately stored in our computer. So this is an internal issue of storage in computer hardware. So to overcome this issue, I would show you how to do that. So we can import a module decimal. Okay, so what it does basically, so it allows a user to set the precision of floating point numbers, like how many decimal point I want. So if I print the addition of this, let's see, say it's 4.3 because I wanted a 1 point decimal precision. Okay, so if I do 2.11 and 2.2, it is 4.31. Okay, so here I would conclude the discussion about numeric data type, and we will discuss about the other data types basically in our next lesson. So we'll talk about Boolean data types, sequential, and container.